Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today I'm asking the question, can a piece of stereo equipment that I've never heard of before make a huge difference in the sound quality of my vinyl records? So someone who's been following my stereo equipment journey reached out to me and asked me if I would want to try out a step-up transformer. And my honest reply was, very curious, but I don't know what a step-up transformer is. So I did a little reading and research, found out the company I would be working with, and happily agreed that yes, I would love to try out a step-up transformer. And so I'm going to be talking to you today about the quadratic moving coil step-up transformer, also known as the Quadratic MC1 by Quadratic Audio. The designers are Jam Summersundram as well as David Guerin. The president of Quadratic Audio is Jam Summersundram, and you probably are familiar, or you may have heard his name, because he's done past work as a designer for Past Labs and also as a director of engineering for Carry Audio Design. So this isn't a paid promotion. I'm not paying them, they're not paying me. This is just something, a great learning opportunity for me, and the payoff is I get to learn something new about stereo equipment and be able to make a video about it. So this Quadratic MC1 that I have is a loaner. So just to make that clear, let's go ahead and move on. You probably are wondering, like I did, what exactly does a step-up transformer do? Well, in simple terms, it passively increases the output of the moving coil phono cartridge to the level of a moving magnet cartridge. It's considered to be better because it is increasing the voltage to the moving magnet level without electronic amplification. And it's supposed to amplify the signal free of hiss and hum, more accurately, and without electronic interference. So that is what it's supposed to do. And I'll be honest, I'm going to go ahead and right into the meat and potatoes of this video. When we hooked up this Quadratic MC1, I immediately noticed a difference. My stereo equipment, I have very nice stereo equipment. I will leave in the description below everything that I have so you know my stereo equipment. I have nice stuff. It did have a hum, a slight hiss. Totally gone with this MC1, and it was a huge difference. So right away I was impressed with that, and I think what makes this Quadratic MC1 special is the way it's built. They're proprietary transformers in multiple shields and in a steel chassis, so it's great quality. And I think that's a lot to do with why there's no hum or hiss and why I got the results that I'm going to be talking about. So again, the way I do my vinyl record shootouts is the same way I did this. I had a blind test. My husband, and I want to say thank you to my husband Philip, he took an evening with me and he spent the time hooking up and taking out this Quadratic MC1. And I sat there and closed my eyes and listened. And he would play one song twice. Once with the Quadratic MC1 and once without. I didn't know which way it was going. And we did that for 4 different songs. And I had to name which one I preferred, you know, which version with or without the Quadratic MC1. And why. And I wrote all of the details down. So let's go ahead and talk about the results. I'll just go ahead and say up front, out of all 4 choices, blindly choosing, I chose when the Quadratic MC1 was hooked up. Let's go ahead and now talk about this album. This is Diana Krall, Turn Up the Quiet, an absolutely beautiful record, very inexpensive, but sounds like an audiophile's dream. It is a great sounding record. And what I really noticed about this and why I chose the Quadratic MC1 when it was hooked up was I could immediately tell a difference in the imaging. There is a beautiful piano playing to the left side of me, and it was great imaging. The piano sounded very natural. When the Quadratic MC1 wasn't hooked up, the piano kind of bled into Diana's voice a little bit. So I liked the separation and the imaging with the Quadratic MC1. It was outstanding. Diana Krall's voice also sounded more lifelike, like she was in the room. It was breathier. It was beautiful. The bass sounded better. It was just absolutely incredible. So I was really impressed with the imaging and the natural sound of the vocals and the instruments on the song that I listened to was Like Someone in Love. So wonderful, wonderful one on that. This is a classic rock song, and I play this one a lot when I am testing my stereo equipment and when also someone comes over and wants to hear my stereo equipment. This is Ted Nugent, Stranglehold. Now this is the Analog Productions 45 RPM version of this. Originals sound great too. It's just a well-recorded classic rock album, and Stranglehold is one of those classic rock titles. There is a lot going on with this album, and it's just absolutely a delight to listen to. And I noticed more details with the Quadratic MC1 on. There are some trickery or some special effects in there, and one of them, and I'm not sure if it's Ted Nugent's guitar, he's doing a trick with it, or a synthesizer, but there seems to be a part where it goes wah, 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 just rising up from the floor. It is breathtaking and more detailed with the Quadratic MC1 plugged in. It was absolutely fantastic. There's also this very cool swooshing pan back and forth from the speakers. Whoosh, whoosh, and it just is this incredible detail. And yes, I have always enjoyed this album, and I've always thought it sounded great, but with the Quadratic MC1 hooked up, wow, it was more details. I also enjoyed the tone of Ted Nugent's guitar, and the bass is absolutely incredible. So that's a great record, and I am so impressed with what the Quadratic MC1 did to enhance the sound quality. This next one is the Alan Parsons Project, Eye in the Sky. Again, this is one I play often when testing out stereo equipment. That intro into Eye in the Sky and the beginning portions of Eye in the Sky, there's a lot going on, a lot to listen to, and I really noticed a great soundstage. And this is really shows off the separation of the instruments. The very beginning, this intro, you can hear a part of a synthesizer melody. And when I was listening, I liked trying to follow that melody as the music keeps building and building. And I was able to follow that thread very, very easily with the Quadratic MC1. A great example of the separation of the instruments. It was really, really wonderful. And there's also a part here where it starts going bump, 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 bump. And it was just so impressive to hear the preciseness. Without the Quadratic MC1, I heard it a little more bleeding of the instruments instead of the separation. It was a little harder to follow that thread of the synthesizer that kept playing throughout that intro. And also, that bump, bump, bump wasn't as precise. So greater soundstage, again, bass was wonderful, and even the vocal as it comes in was a little warmer, a little more airy, and more lifelike. And finally, this is one that I listened to as well. The album, Norah Jones' Come Away With Me. Listen to the song Don't Know Why. This is the Analog Productions version. I believe this is a 45 version. I forgot to check, but because my husband did the blind test. But it's just a beautiful song and a great way to test out this Quadratic MC1. For one, Norah Jones' vocals are smoother. I noticed a larger sound stage, a lot more details going on from left to right, a wider sound stage. And there's a drumstick, broom drumstick effect on this song. And it was more textured and had more depth when I was listening with the Quadratic MC1 hooked up. So all four of those albums, I could clearly, or all four of those songs, I should say, were very clear to me what the winners were. And I was very impressed because I've always thought my stereo equipment sounds great. It's interesting when you get something else added to it, how much better and what the difference is. So I thought that was very, very cool. So who would be someone that would benefit from a step-up transformer? Well, it would be someone who has a moving magnet cartridge and a moving magnet phono preamplifier, and you're wanting to move up to a moving coil cartridge. I know we have all these different opinions about stereo equipment, but the consensus is that a moving coil is the better way to go, or considered a step up, because it's lighter weight, it's faster, more accurate, more precise, and in a lot of ways people say has better sound quality than a moving magnet. So if you're wanting to move up to a moving coil cartridge, having this step-up transformer with a good phono preamplifier would be the way to go. It's also good for someone like me. I have a very good moving coil cartridge, an Apheta 3. I also have a very good phono preamplifier. I have a Rega Aria MK3. It's really, really cool. It's wonderful. But to get the absolute most out of the moving coil cartridge that I have, having this step-up transformer was great. So someone like me could benefit from it too. It's really a fantastic step-up transformer. And I guess there's a couple things you probably ought to think about. For one, it is a piece of equipment that does not replace anything else. It's just an extra piece of equipment to have. It will not replace a phono preamplifier, but it does enhance what you have, or at least that was my experience. And also price. No matter what piece of stereo equipment I talk about, price is always an issue, whether it fits your budget or not. To me, the price I think is very, very fair for the quality you're getting, for the improvement in sound quality I experienced. It's not as expensive as some of the other pieces of equipment that I have bought, and I think it pushes well above its weight. In my opinion, they could be charging more for this step-up transformer. I just think it's really, really wonderful. So overall, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend a step-up transformer, especially this Quadratic MC1. It was wonderful. And also, I want to thank Jam Samasundram for your help, for letting me borrow this wonderful piece of equipment. And thank you to the person who was the go-between, who reached out to me. I really appreciate you too. And let me know what you think of step-up transformers. Do you have one? Do you have an opinion about them? Do you have this Quadratic step-up transformer? I would love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. And I will talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.